So I'm super excited to present to you a client, Picture Me Sydney. We're really excited to be working on his website and ongoing SEO. And when he first came to us, obviously he had a challenge that we needed to solve for him at Resmark Web and Resmark. He's also a booking software client. So with me today, I have Scott, our sales manager, and Katcha, who's going to be this client's client success manager, and myself as the marketing director. So with that, I'm going to kick it over to Scott and ask a few questions. So Scott, when the client first came to us, when Picture Me Sydney first came to us, what specific problems did he have?
Yeah, so he came to us. His name is Terry, wonderful gentleman that we've been working with, and he had a similar story that we hear often, which is either that they've been working really hard on their SEO and their website and the design and everything, but not getting the traction that they're hoping for, or with an agency and not seeing those results, or they're just starting from scratch and don't even know where to start and are really looking for help. In his case, he's been an established business for a while, but he's really pushing to do a lot more online direct bookings. He gets a lot through OTAs, but all his efforts and with the people that he's working with on the website just weren't getting the traction, not getting the traffic that he wants, not getting the conversions when he does have people coming to the site. And that's most commonly what we hear when in my first conversations with clients.
So when you have that initial conversation, or at what point do you actually take a look at his website and say, okay, we really can help you?
Yeah, so I mean, it's not always the same process, but it kind of follows the same general steps. We have a first discovery call to find out like what are the issues, and like I just said, he kind of explains what the challenges are, what type of business, who are they selling to, what kind of audience do they have, and what are their channels for selling through, and all of that kind of stuff. And then from there, I kind of take all that information away, and we set up another call to do kind of more of a demo, and I come back with a few ideas about things we can do. And in between there, I'm going to start doing some research, looking through the website on, how he's ranking, what his traffic is, what kind of keywords is he ranking for, and what keywords isn't he ranking for? What is his competition doing that he's not? And what are really the opportunities to both gain more traffic and then on the site itself capitalize on that traffic when it comes in and influence the design to increase conversions. And so that's the focus then of the next subsequent calls is like, how do we kind of make this a no-brainer to say if we get more traffic and get higher conversions through these 10 steps, these are the results you can kind of expect.
So as you pulled up his website and now you're dialing in, on his website, things that can be fixed, what were some red flags to you immediately that you said, I think that Resmark Web can make a huge difference on his website and maybe even through his booking process?
So first thing right off the bat, I mean, his name, Picture Me Sydney, it's right there. It's the headline, and it kind of just fades, gets obscured by the background image. Imagery, pictures are a big part of his tour. I believe he has upsell photo packages, and he's a photographer sort of by trade before getting really into the tourism part of things. So photographs are like, this is a great photograph, but it's kind of it's just a background. It could be any sort of stock photo. We really want to make the photography pop and guide people through sort of a journey of the tours and what they can expect. The H1, the unforgettable day tours designed by local experts, probably not the best. I mean, it's great. It's descriptive. And it hits on some value points because people are really going to value, all right, local experts are going to tell me what I'm seeing and where we're going. But as far as the keywords and the strategy behind what is going to be read first on the page and what's going to stand out to both search engines and the audience, can improve on things like that. So right there at the very top, the first thing I see on the website are like three things that we can do better. They're not, screaming, this is terrible, but they're opportunities that we can make more out of.
That was the exact impression I got when looking at his older site. Now, when you were talking to Terry, did he have any objections that you had to overcome whenever he was talking about, is Resmark Web the right, service for me?
Well, I mean, he had been working with some SEO people in design, and I think, everybody kind of had the same ideas, but it really comes down to the execution. And so I think he really looked at us and shared work that we've done before and results that we've done and where we can have expectations for him and his site, and is kind of that reputation and trust that really I think sat with him, and he said, okay, these people know what they're talking about and have had results in the past and are pointing out some things that they had overlooked. I mean, other things too, like above the fold, there's no real obvious place to go next. I mean, there's your navigation, which is open, but there's no like guided path through the site. There's one small book now link at the very bottom. Um, but like it's not highlighting the tours or the experiences that you're going to have. And so a website really should be guiding you through it and helping you along the way. And this one, it's got all the right, intuitively, if you're designing this without the experience, it's got the right pictures, it's got the right elements, but it's just not an experience on the website. There was another image you just went past that the text was right over everybody's faces and, not ideal. Yeah, right here. So, and then of course, I always shrink it down and look at what is the mobile experience of this same website because, we sit at our computers all day and it's easy just to pull up a website. And when it's, this big full screen site, it looks great sometimes, sometimes not. But then when you shrink it down to the mobile, okay, so as you're scrolling through there, there's just a lot of pictures and text, but it's not telling me what to do next. It's not giving me the links, the products, the tours to click on. Uh, and so, yeah, and a little bit slow. I don't know if that's just because of the recording here, but not loading as quickly as you'd like it to be. So, of course, being a very picture heavy website, there's a lot of technical side that goes into optimizing that.
Awesome. I'm going to talk real quick about some of the things that I noticed from a marketing standpoint on his website. A lot of the things that you mentioned, Scott, but looking at his old website, yeah, it's not optimized. A lot of the obvious things that you mentioned, but like we have a call to action in the upper right hand corner. But is that the most important? Is that the one thing we want them to do is contact us? I would say the one thing we want them to do is book a tour. So I'd rather that be the call to action that's down here, book now. Also, when you click this, it's not very user friendly. I can't see the text in here. So I would rather, if it was contact us or book now, whatever, go to an actual page where they can fill out more information or book that tour immediately. Some other things that I noticed is just the experience here. These look like clickable links to me, and they could be
Yeah,
best things to
it could
do.
be.
And I would love to click on that and pull up a best things to do resource. So I would love to see like a resource tab in the navigation. And just quickly going through here, I actually saw some redundant photos. So I wouldn't have the same photos on the website, especially not on the same page. No social links in the footer, so I'm not able to see that. Going to the About Us, you mentioned this, but having text over people's beautiful faces, I wouldn't do that. And then not having any sort of call to action above the fold. So that means before people start scrolling, I would love to see a button here or something. And then the other thing that I noticed was sometimes this gallery is a little wonky and funky. And then I'll just mention here, I took a look at their blogs and I figured maybe they're doing some really great things because they have their blogs right in the navigation, which we don't usually see. But as I was scrolling through their blogs, these are all written from my perspective from AI. So we're using a lot of AI's grammar, a lot of AI's terms. And one of the things, if you're going to write blogs, if you're going to publish blogs, publish content that people actually want to read that's coming from your tone and your voice, or else it's really not worth it. It's really just wasting time because at the end of the day, it still takes you time to give ChatGPT or whatever platform you're using prompts to write something, and then you're still having to put that on your website. So even if it's 20 minutes, it's 20 minutes you might not need to spend. So it might actually hurt you. So just some things to think about. And then real quick, the last thing I was going to mention was the logo in the upper left-hand corner is not clickable to the home. So I would love to see the home being removed from the navigation and then picture me being the home. Katcha, now you are the client success manager for Terry. What has that process looked like? So we have his old site. We're building his new website. How do we build a successful website based off of your communication and your experience with that client? What does that process look like?
Gosh, yeah. So first, I do have an internal meeting with Scott to talk about what Scott has discussed with Terry, what their goals are, and then we'll shortly thereafter meet with Terry, the client, the three of us, to kind of have a smooth handoff. From there, I email the client basically a really nice workbook and essential questions document. And that's super important where I can learn all about Terry and your business. From there, too, we asked to upload logos and especially photos and videos to our Google Drive and share access to your Google accounts, hosting, current website platform. And then once we have gathered everything, we'll set up a call to really walk through everything. Make sure we talk about, your vision, your design preferences, what you're looking for in the new website. And then just make sure we're aligned on goals and timelines. But then from there, we're ready to roll. So we really go straight into the homepage. Our design team we have an internal kickoff. They, gather all that information, and then we just build the homepage in a few days, and then we meet again. So then I met with Terry to talk about the homepage, see what they like, and this meeting is really important because the homepage really drives the rest. The design of the homepage drives the rest of the website. So we need to get this 100% correct. So we may go through and tweak a few things, but make sure it's top notch and the design is perfect. From there, we'll design a few more pages, kind of one of what we would call the activity collection pages where we have all of the Sydney tours, for example. And then we'll design one of the specific tour pages, like the Blue Mountains tour page. We'll design that as well. We'll meet again to go through those new pages. And once, those are all set, then we're really just filling in all that great content. We'll perhaps have a few more meetings, but really, that's our time to really just keep working. And then at the very end, Terry gets a nice link to view everything and make any final changes. And then that's it. Launch the website and send it out into the world.
Katcha, thank you for sharing that. I think it's time that we show you guys what the new website looks like. So, are you ready? Let's do a drum roll, please. Katcha, Scott, do a drum roll.
I don't know if you can hear my drums.
I can't. Ta-da! And here we have it. As you can see, we have the proper call to actions in the right places. Images all throughout this website. The things that were missing on the old website, on the previous website, are now on this website. Tons of trust factors. We even have trust badges at the bottom, social icons, a much better booking process, a huge improvement. Scott, what do you love about the new website?
The first thing that stands out to me is the navigation, honestly. Like, it's simplified, it's clean, it's got the trust factor right there, 5 stars in the top, TripAdvisor, come to us, take our tours, we've done this, we're reputable, people love it, all that. A cart that we didn't see before, the Book Now button, of course, but a cart and Book Now, and that navigation screams to me like there are things to do, things to book, places to go, things to see, and these are the people in the company to take me there.
It's so clean and clear and a good user experience. I love that the resources is in the navigation, and then we have those additional things that people can go to. Katcha, what do you love about the new site?
Gosh, from a first perspective, I love how bright and clean it is, and that really just allows his gorgeous imagery to shine. And as you're saying, it's super easy to navigate, and really to understand what they specialize in. And I think Terry's personality also really shines through. So one improvement that we've really made to the new site is we've included some more great content about the different locations or destinations that Terry and Picture Me Sydney visit along their tours. People often search for things like things to do along the Kiama coast or best tours in the Blue Mountains. So creating these destination specific pages allows your website to really kind of show up in those kind of searches, not just branded or product specific terms. So these pages give you like a natural way to target high intent location specific keywords. So this is going to help you rank in search results for travelers planning trips to the area. And they also kind of position your company as an expert in the destination. You know, you can include like things like insider tips or highlights of the area, like in attractions, nearby attractions, and more importantly, why your tour is the best way to experience it. So these destination pages kind of act as an SEO friendly hub that can link out to your relevant tours and blog posts and resources, boosting the overall site structure and helping Google crawl your site more efficiently. So it's just kind of an easier way for potential customers to find what they're looking for. If someone's planning a trip to Sydney, you know, a Sydney sightseeing tours page that groups all of those relevant tours together helps them to stay engaged and more likely to book.
That's Katcha like talked exactly about some of the stuff that Terry and I talk about in our first conversations, and I talk about with everyone else. That branded traffic, we see companies come to us all the time where they're getting 60, 70, 80% of their traffic is branded. And that means it's people that are searching for them by name, Picture Me Sydney. Well, if you don't know this company, you're not searching for that. So what we see the top companies have is thousands of keywords, and none of those keywords account for more than like 2 or 3% of their traffic. You know, it's all spread out, and that's where those locations come into play and are so important, is because people are searching for things to do in this location, or sightseeing tours here, or you know, boat tours or walking tour, or these kinds of things. They're being specific about that. That's the kind of stuff that you need to rank for and come up in the search results. And that's what Katcha and our team are experts in delivering and making happen when we get to work on a site like this.
So I'm just going to scroll through some of these pages. And as I do that, Katcha, now that the website is launched, what happens? Are we updating him? What does that process look like?
That's a great question. So, you know, during the website build, we're constantly in contact, and that doesn't stop after launch. So post-launch, we meet monthly. However, I'm always here if we need to meet more. But in those monthly meetings, we'll be tracking KPIs to really, you know, track keyword rankings, organic traffic, blog performance, local SEO, like your Google business profile, impressions and activity there, and just overall visibility and search results. Basically, we're keeping an eye on how the site is showing up and performing online. That, and also talking about conversions, you know, talking about how those bookings are going. So we do touch base monthly, and then can have check-in calls if needed. If there's any updates they'd like to make, they can of course email me, or sometimes that happens through the call, and we'll get those taken care of. And then, you know, we like to not only on those meetings talk about what we've worked on, but talk about what our future plan is, what our plan is for the next 3 months. You know, what specific things that we'll be working on to increase conversion, to establish, you know, to complete their goals. So it's a good chance for us to kind of align on strategy, talk through any ideas they may have, and make sure we're moving in the right direction.
Now, what happens, Katcha, if a client's like, I need to add another destination, or I have more reviews I want to add, or I have additional changes I want to make? What does that process look like?
When someone has perhaps, let's say, a new tour, or they're adding a new destination to their program, what we really need is just some great content, you know, from them, a description of why that place is so great to visit, and what they experience there. And then imagery is also extremely important, so that not only can we tell the story with words and text, but people can also visit, you know, envision themselves in that destination.
I just want to point out that's great here, but is often very difficult, is the imagery, because Terry and this particular tour are so focused on photography. They've got tons and tons of great photography, often working with clients. They, you know, don't necessarily have that. Of course, sourcing it from their people and their customers is a great way to come up with that. There's a lot of great suggestions that we can give you, but having those assets is so important for your website. So when you're starting to think about how do I make my website better, start thinking about that and where can you source the content, the images, the ideas for the text, which you can hand to us, and our SEO team will optimize it and take your content and make it performative.
And not only are we doing that, we're not just designing your website, we're not just doing your SEO, we are your strategic partners. So like, I find so often that Katcha's getting on these calls with clients and we're talking things that to just help their business, like what's happening after somebody fills out a form, you know, or a tour operator might come to us like, how do I get better photos? How do I get more volume of photos? And that's why we meet monthly and why we're sitting down with you. We're not just creating your website, doing like tasks every day. No, we want to be your strategic partners in growth. So that's why we're working with you to kind of help, you know, with all aspects of your business, because, you know, you could excel in one thing, but if you don't in another, it's not all going to work. So that's really important for us to see that. All right, guys. Well, that is it for Picture Me Sydney. We're going to be showcasing a few of our other clients as we, you know, do their new builds for them, and I'm excited to show them to you. And if you ever need a website company, SEO service, or just somebody to talk to about marketing, we are here. You could book a free consultation with us. You'll talk with Scott, who hopefully you realize by now how awesome he is. Our whole Resmark web team is so awesome. We're so hands-on. We are known for our support, not just on our booking side, but on our website side too. We truly, truly care about your tour operation, and we hope the best for you. And whether you book a call or not, hopefully you got some value out of this, and we'll see you on the next video.